Okay, so last video, we had some really big audio issues. Basically, the game audio was so high that you couldn't even tell that I was talking, right? So we're gonna try and do something a little bit different. We're gonna be playing what looks like a Minecraft SMP visual novel, right? For the record, I don't know a single thing about Minecraft SMPs. I really don't know what to expect from this, but I bet you it's gonna be really good. So let's get this started. So, like I said, this is Minecraft Lovehunt. I know nothing about the Dream SMP. I have friends that are really into it, and I'm probably going to disappoint every single one of them. But let's get into it, shall we? Let's go. 8:59 p.m. You stretched in your seat, in the process of getting ready for a match of Hypixel with your friends, when you've gotten a notification on your phone. It was an alert from Twitch. Your favorite streamers are online. You finished setting up and proceeded to wait for your friends in the lobby. Thinking that they were taking quite a long while, you decided to put the stream up on your phone. Hi! Hello! Welcome to the stream, guys! I don't know what Dream sounds like. I really don't. I'm here with George and Sapnap. Say hi! Hi! Hello! This is a bad idea. We'll be doing another Minecraft challenge for this stream. This challenge, we coded it so that we... Suddenly, their voices began to fade out as your eyelids started to feel heavy. You try to fight against the urge to shut your eyes, but it was proven futile as you felt your body fall back from your seat, completely blacking out. Thud. We'll just fall off of our computer chair, I guess. You let out a groan as you felt your back collide with the ground. You assumed that you had landed on your apartment floor, until you heard 3 different voices from above you. Oh god, this is a Komeda situation. That was a really harsh fall. Do you think they're okay?
I don't
know, Dream. Why don't you try landing a 140 block fall with no MLG? What does that mean? Dream? That name sounded familiar. That sound effect ringing in your ear was just as familiar too. Okay. I feel like literally everybody knows the name Dream. And if Dream is your favorite streamer, you should, or at least one of your favorite streamers, you should definitely know. Like, that would be your first thought, is to be like, Dream the streamer? And then be like, oh, no, that's unrealistic, sorry. Anyways. You began to stir awake and attempt to open your eyes. Wait, guys, shush, they're waking up, I think. Yeah, this is definitely a Komeda situation. Okay. You were met with 3 familiar faces looking down at you in concern. Hey, are you okay? Here, let me help you up. You were brought up to your feet by the tall male in front of you, your arms immediately flailing about as you try to regain your balance. You then began to pat the dirt off your pants as you come to the realization that you were surrounded by 3 of your favorite content creators. Oh my god! You're probably so confused right now. I go by Dream. What's yours? That's a really strange way to ask for a name. Alright. I am Snappy. You introduced yourself. Dream grins. Don't look at me like that.
Hi.
Snappy, nice to meet you. Dream was then pushed over to the side by a brunette who had a bandana tied around his forehead. He seemed to be a really energetic person. Okay. Hi there, Snappy. I'm Sapnap. This is really gonna trip me up, okay? I'm gonna mess this up so many times. Sapnap, you didn't have to shove me. You just weren't quick enough to move out of the way. You bashfully nodded and waved back to the two as they both began to bicker. You heard a sigh coming from your right and looked towards the shorter brunette. I'm really sorry for these two. This is all completely normal. I've heard stories about George. And, very recently, one of my friends was complaining about how, like, all of the horrible canon things and, like, SMP getting worse is because of him. And there was something about, like, Wendy's trying to ban him or something. I really do not understand, like, any of these people. Or what the heck is going on here. It's all just really strange. Anyways, let's keep going.
Hello.
I'm George. Pleasured to meet you, Snappy. Do not be pleasured in any regards around me ever again, please. George then cleared his throat loudly enough for the other two to hear. So, what's our plan now? Obviously, we're stuck in a Minecraft world, but we can't stay here forever. Flustered, Dream and Sapnap had fixed themselves and were focused on the situation at hand. How do you think we could get out of this? Any ideas? It seemed that they have discussed this before you had arrived, confirming that everyone was from the real world and was not a bot built into the game's code. Seeing you fall from, apparently, 140 blocks high also served as enough evidence that you too were real to them. A moment of silence had passed, for a while, as all four of you tried to think of a solution. Free the end? Everyone turned to Dream. The what? The end. We find the stronghold, beat the Ender Dragon, and free the end. Just like how we usually do our challenges. I'm not sure if this will help us get back, but it's worth a try, right? But then this is us, Dream. We're not our characters anymore. We're actual people stuck in their places. We can't just die and respawn. 0 hearts and we disappear. How are you so sure about that? We don't know if that's true. Sapnap, out of the blue, proceeded to punch George. George said nothing, like, this entire time, right? A glimpse of George's health had appeared on top of his head for a split second, with his last heart split in half. Dream's face faltered at this. Of all people, Sapnap, you really had to choose? So if we're gonna finish this game, we all have to be careful. You nodded along, gazing up to see that you had half of your entire health bar down due to your fall earlier. Alright, then let's split up since it's almost nighttime. I'll go mine for ores. George, you go get us as many wood as you can. Sapnap, find us a proper place to reside in for now. And they're all gone. As 3 of them went their separate ways, you were left on your own. You wanted to help out too, so you decided to Well, I'm not gonna get wood because that was George's job. We already have someone on that, and he doesn't seem like the kind of person to want help or be receptive to help, so we're just gonna wander around. You decided to walk a bit towards the side you had last seen Sapnap. Not too long after, you spot the familiar flare of his bandana as he turned around to the sound of your footsteps approaching him. Oh, so you decided to venture out with me? This was completely by coincidence, my dude. You rolled your eyes playfully as you ran up to his side. Finding a suitable place to stay wouldn't be that hard, right? Sapnap continued to ramble about various topics, as you did most of the observation. From the corner of your eye, you spotted a village. You exclaimed to catch the brunette's attention as you pointed at the spot. This has some Prime fanfic writing in it, and I'm here for it. Except for the fact that it's making it harder to read, but you know what? That's fine. Nice one, Snappy. I was so busy babbling about that, I didn't even get to notice. Then he mined off a block of dirt, so that we could return here later on. Let's continue walking around and see if we can find something even more interesting. This is Minecraft, we're not gonna find something that much more interesting. You nodded and continued down the path the both of you were taking. As you made your way around, Sapnap spoke up again. So, what do you think? You glanced at him, confused. Sapnap just laughed as he placed his arms behind his head. I'm guessing you didn't hear me. Don't worry, I swear, I'm kind enough to repeat myself. Are you? I was wondering, what would be the first thing you'd like to do the moment you get out of here? Let's see, so we have take a break from the computer, have a hangout in real life, I'd rather stay here, or go for a walk on the beach, take some time to wind down. Well, with all this quarantine craziness going on and everything, I have been spending way too much time on my computer, so I really want to go to the movies or something. Real life, definitely. All you've been doing all summer break was play Minecraft and watch them do dumb challenges. You know what? That sounds like me at like 15, 16. That's really all I used to do. Maybe it was time to just calm down, call a few friends over, relish in some fun physical activities that you used to do. I like the sound of that. Keeping your friends close, shoving them when they do a really funny joke. Yeah, I think I'd like to do that too. Alright. I wasn't expecting that to go well, but okay. He gives you a grin as you both continued on the path you followed. As you reach the end, the biome turning from a grassy field to one of a jungle. Unrealistic. I can never find jungles, okay? Regardless, for the sake of the story, let's continue. The both of you had spotted a ruined nether portal. Your eyebrows raised in surprise as Sapnap turned around, hands cupped around his mouth as he called out, "Guys, we found a ruined portal!" As his voice echoed through the dark oak forest. The dark oak forest? The two other members had made their way towards the both of you to regroup. Nice find! As everyone reunited, they had huddled around the ruined portal. Dream and George had exchanged the materials they have obtained, successfully creating a crafting table. Wow, guys, what a feat! I'm being really mean right now. I'm so sorry. They don't deserve this. Maybe they do. I don't know. Dream creates enough stone axes and pickaxes for everyone to be able to defend themselves when needed. Great. George then stashes the crafting table in his inventory. Now, let's see what the chest has in store for us. He motions for Sapnap to take the lead. The brunette bounds over to the chest buried in between the netherrack, opening the lock up and revealing the items locked in. So, what do we got? A gapple. There's also a flint and steel, a few golden ingots, an enchanted golden helmet, and some obsidian blocks. Sapnap then quickly sweeps a hand into the chest before anyone could speak up. I call dibs on the flint and steel! George rolls his eyes before approaching the chest. Then, I'll grab the helmet. Dream was the last to approach the chest, bringing out the 2 remaining items. He holds them both in his hands, as if to weigh his choices. Here, Snappy. He tosses the golden apple to you. You glanced at it for a second before looking back up towards the blonde. He simply smiled back at you. You'll need it more than I do. Excuse me, what does that mean? How useless do you think I am? Besides, these will be handy later on. Okay. You were about to speak up when the sound of groaning was heard all around you. Oh boy. The 3 of you had lost track of time as night came upon all of you. Numerous mobs have begun to spawn. Guys? There's a village down here. Find a 1 block hole, that's my marker. Upon hearing this, Dream had already sprinted ahead, leaving everyone else to follow his lead. More like leaving us all to die. As you all ran, you heard a yelp from someone behind you. Ah! George! George is gonna die. Oh no. George was wrestling with a zombie. Sapnap also turned his head around and immediately wielded his axe. As you looked behind the younger brunette, you spotted a creeper approaching his way. Oh no! George! You were much closer to George. I was not much closer to George, I don't think, but you know what? He seems like the one who is definitely more death-prone. You were much closer to George, so you sprinted towards him while Sapnap turned around to the hissing of the mob behind him. You wielded your axe up and high before striking down a crit onto the zombie that had grabbed a hold of George. Doing it 3 more times, the mob then disappeared into smoke and a few orbs of XP. George, seemingly out of breath, appreciates your help. Thanks, Snappy. Yeah, so is Sapnap dead now? Dream turns around. I told you he left us to freaking die. Are you guys okay? All 3 of you nodded in response. Oh, okay, so Sapnap is still alive too. Alright, then come on, we're almost there. You all hobbled over to the nearby village. Dream had shoved a random door open and ushered all of you inside, breaking any lever or button nearby the entrance to ensure that no other mob could get in. He really didn't have to, but it was better safe than sorry. Dream then sighed as everyone attempted to catch their breath. Anyone hurt badly or anything? You, George, and Sapnap glanced at each other for a minute before shaking your heads all together. Dream sighs in relief before glancing at the iron golem doing its job to protect its village through the window. Well, it seems like we're in a library. Might as well make the most of our time here and rest up until daylight comes back. Dream and Sapnap nodded at this. Dream continued to stay nearby the door, keeping watch of the mobs outside. Sapnap had decided to sit by the staircase to the upper floor of the library. George had already gone up to check out the many books on the shelves. You took this as a time to breathe and venture around in this tiny, tiny little blocky Minecraft house. I want to know more about books, or I want to talk more about biomes. I mean, I don't really care much about the biomes, because, like, we already know them, but I am curious what kind of books Minecraft has in their bookshelves. You decided to head upstairs. You wanted to see what the library had in store for you. Hearing your footsteps approaching, George sees you standing at the top of the stairs. Snappy. He smiles at you as he puts a book back on the shelf. You question him as to why he did that, as he seemed quite interested in it. Oh, it was nothing, really. Freaking lying to me? You don't buy it one bit, but you let it slide. I would never. You stood next to him as you peered at the multiple books with enchantment table language engraved on their spines. Your fingers brush against the leather before George clears his throat. So, books. You like books too? Sure, yeah. So, not really, they bore me. I enjoy reading a lot, or it takes my mind off of some things. I mean, personally, I used to read a lot. I don't really now, but for the sake of it, yes, I enjoy reading a lot. You like the way books open up a different world for you to discover and conform to. You smile at, probably, the countless books you've decided were your favorite ones, whether they were just a standalone or a long series. Oh, hello there, okay. George smiles. You think that too, huh? It's just kinda like here, too. Opening portals, finding different parts of its universe, understanding its lore. He then catches himself from rambling further, his face tinging pink. Sorry, I think I've said too much. You reassure him that he hadn't. You tell him that you enjoy hearing him talk about the things he's interested in. He looks a bit shocked at your response before settling on a smile. You're great company, Snappy. Guys! Hello, Dream. Sun's out. Let's go and loot this place. Okay. Everyone assembled themselves nearby the entrance of the library. Main focus is to find more iron. If you guys found enough, craft a shield for each of you. I have never once used a shield in Minecraft in my life. I'll look for a furnace and smelt the ones I've mined. I'll keep an eye out for more too. And look for food too. We'll be needing more of it later on. Everyone nods and headed off in various directions. You entered a nearby house to be greeted by a villager, who stares at you for a moment before leaving the structure. You shook your head at the random encounter before climbing up the stairs to see a chest in the corner. Opening it, you were greeted by 4 pieces of bread, 2 iron ingots, and an apple. Smiling, you stash all of them in your inventory before heading out, and I will not tell anyone about it. You meet up with Sapnap and George as they both emerged from a nearby house. George approahes you. Don't touch me! He gives you a shield and an iron pickaxe to replace your stone one. You noted that he was able to make enough for everyone. Turning around to the sound of footsteps approaching, you see Dream returning with more iron ingots and a bunch of buckets in his hands. Why does he have so many buckets? Did you waste our iron resources, sir? George also made his way to the blonde, handing him his share of new iron assets. Dream nodded at him in thanks. Nice! Alright, Sapnap? Question mark. How many obsidian blocks were in the chest? Sapnap pondered for a bit. I think there were 2. You think? You don't remember. Dream glances down at the buckets he had with him and handed a few over to George. Alright, George. You go and get what? Okay. Well, I guess we missed that. I'll stay here and light up the new portal. I can't read anymore. I'll stay here and light the new portal up. You stay here and light the new portal up. Dream bounds off to the opposite direction, while George walks to the nearby brook. Sapnap walks down the path towards the ruined portal area. Who do you want to catch up to? Can I not, go and pester Dream and make his life worse? Because I think that would be fun, but I guess given the option we can't. And since apparently George already likes us, we might as well go down that route first. You sped up a bit and caught up with George. He smiles at you as you both fall into step. As you approach the small body of water, George crouches down and scoops up enough water into the bucket. You seem really easy to talk to, Snappy. Thank you. You know, I really think that my RBF and my tendency to go, completely silent around new people makes me incredibly easy to talk to, so thank you so much for that compliment. How are you with your friends on your end? Honestly, my friends are lovely, and they are the only people who will be watching this video, maybe. And I know that they would kill me if I said that, yeah, they're fine. So, they're fine. You wouldn't prefer to be alone, but you wouldn't prefer to be around them a lot either. People come and go. George hums passively at your curt tone. Uh-huh. You got something to say? Not as easy as I thought. Is he implying? He better not be implying that I'm easy. I am not easy. I will fight you. His tone sounded more guarded than before, but you paid no mind to it. Let's head back. You nodded before walking right behind him, following the path back towards the ruined portal. You guys got the stuff? Everyone raises their needed items, confirming that they all had what they needed. Dream smiles at this before beginning to call George to his side to help complete the portal altogether. You stood by the side as the 3 other members had grouped up together to speed up the portal building process. Once they were all finished, Sapnap flicked the stones in his possession and flared the new nether portal to life. The 4 of you grinned at the success of your first half of the plan. Sapnap then glances around to everyone else. So, is everyone ready? Dream points to George. Wear your helmet, George! Oh, Yeah. George quickly applies the helmet and gave out a thumbs up. We're ready! Sapnap nods, and you all usher over to the line of blocks right before the portal. You inhale deeply and exhale slowly, an attempt to calm your nerves before entering the portal. You peer over to the side to see the other three doing the same. Dream then began to count. On 3. 1, 2, 3! As Sapnap shouted, all 4 of you had jumped into the portal at the same time. And here we go! After feeling light for a split second as you thread through the 2 different worlds, you feel gravity pulling down on you as you entered a warmer surrounding. You know, I never really thought about that. I bet you the Nether is like very, very humid, very gross feeling. I would certainly never like to be there. You decided to take a step down from the obsidian platform. With the disorientation catching up to you, you had fallen onto your knees and clutched your head. Teleporting from one world to another isn't exactly as fun as it seemed. Yeah, I bet. The other 3 had simultaneously groaned as they landed. Yeah, hopefully we're never doing this again. I second that. Shaking his head, Dream stood up and batted away the netherrack dust that had gotten all over him from the fall. You and the other 2 had followed his lead and did the same. Dream gazes around at the view of endlessly dripping lava, trying to let the scene sink in. The Nether. You can hear the dread in Dream's voice, and you were about to approach him about it before he turned around with a stern look on his face. Gather a bunch of netherrack. We'll all need it. You all nodded and split off, and you bounded off to the side, creating a small strip mine to easily gather a big amount of the nearby material. As you mined away, you heard a loud gasp echo from outside the cave. Guys! The fortress! It's right here! You raise your eyebrows in surprise. It was just near spawn? That's so lucky! You hurriedly mine a bit more netherrack before running outside, catching up to Sapnap, who had evidently done the exact same. Nice find! Huh? Gogi? Huh? George seemingly cringes at the nickname, but was cut off from reacting due to the fact that Dream had ruffled his hair. This poor guy. Everyone follows George's lead towards the structure. As your group approaches the nether brick walls, everyone took turns in using their bundles of netherrack to maneuver up to an entrance. Why don't we just break in through the side? As you helped each other up the ledge, George gasps as a wither skeleton attacked him. He had managed to bring up his shield in time to block it. George! Oh no! I'm fine. Let's just go! He shoves the mob back and everyone darted off to the opposite direction. Dream points towards a nearby blaze spawner, calling Sapnap to his side. This is worse, isn't it? As they both began to farm for the needed blaze rods, George was busy defending the area from the other mobs that have followed you, and I'm just standing here being totally useless. The 2 different mobs began to multiply as time passed, and you knew you had to help them out somehow. I guess we're going George again. You bounded over to George as quick as you can, swinging your axe at nearby wither skeletons, before shoving the others away with your own shield. George looks at you in surprise. And... Snappy, yeah, quit sparkling at me, pretty boy, okay? But he was cut off when 2 more skeletons had bumped against him. You reprimanded him, saying that it isn't the right time to complain about your split-second choices. Yeah. He silently nodded, working on defending the other 2 as they handled each other's sides. We have enough, let's go! You all fought your way through the fortress grounds and went to the nearby netherrack field. As you dashed through the terrain, you noticed Dream and the others weren't heading for the portal. You racked your brain as you wondered why, but remembered that you needed the easiest and quickest way that you could all think of for obtaining ender pearls. And that was through piglin trading. You all looked for a biome that had enough mobs that were available for trading. Dream hollers over to you guys to dig up a hole to surround at least 2 or 3 piglins. George passes his golden helmet over to Dream as he tosses gold ingots towards the hog-like humanoids, leading them to the hole you all made. With no gold to pass the piglins' tastes, the others have begun to run towards everyone else. Sapnap was on one end of the pit, fighting against 2 ghasts that have simultaneously spawned. George was on the other end, fending off other piglins and a few wither skeletons that had followed your group. Dream, make it quick! I'm trying! Are you, Dream? Dream! Making up your mind, you take long strides towards the older male who seemed to have a tiny bit of trouble fighting off the mobs. You tell George that you can handle the skeletons, and have him run around the area as much as he can to stall for time for Dream to make the sufficient amount of trades. Sounds like a plan, Snappy! You then began to run around and lead the other piglins away as you exchanged hits with the wither skeletons in front of you. Everything began to overwhelm you, from the amount of mobs surrounding all of you to the huge amount of pressure you're feeling right now. Sapnap began to call out, peeved tones seeping out of his voice. Dream! Dream rolled his eyes. Let's go, this way. He was visibly irritated as he was pressured, but hopefully everyone would shrug it off. You all bolted towards the right direction to the portal, the one you finally recognize, and gasped in relief when you spotted the familiar purple particles flaring into the air. Dream reaches it first, not entering the vortex, and instead opted out to take a swing at an approaching aggressive piglin mob. Get in, now! Don't tell me what to do. Without a second thought, Sapnap and George had entered the portal, their bodies slowly disappearing into the overworld the longer they stayed in. You glanced back at Dream and hesitated. You didn't want to leave him behind. Question, why not? Dream frowned at you. Go! When you didn't budge, Dream had instead pushed you through the portal. Rude much! When you came to, your first reaction was to frantically check your surroundings for your other companions. We're here, Snappy. We're here. From behind you, you hear Sapnap and George seemingly out of breath. The older of the 2 was lying on his back, whilst the other was seated on a nearby grass block, and wiping the sweat from his chin. George's voice wavered, when he spoke up. "Where's Dream?" Your heart sank when you had to explain what had happened before you teleported back into the overworld. They both frowned at this. Of course he would. "We have to go back, see if he's still in there. We need to help him." Before their argument could get any bigger, Dream had suddenly appeared into the overworld. He landed onto the grass with... What is with me and grass? He landed onto the grass with a harsh thud. "Dream!" You all rushed over to his side, to which he waved off. Both Sapnap and George helped him up onto his feet. I'm fine. Health check, guys?" You all warily nodded before looking up to your own health bars. George says that he has 4 left. You and Sapnap have the same amount of 3. Dream only had half a heart. Sapnap frowned as George crossed his arms. "What happened to being careful, Dream?" Dream waves him off as he pulled out a piece of bread to replenish his hunger and to regen. "All that matters is that we're fine. It was our first, and hopefully last, time in the Nether. Of course it'll end up messy." You were about to hand him your golden apple, but he noticed and stopped you from doing so. "I told you, you'll need it more than I do." "Obviously not." You frowned, but didn't push. You stashed it back in your inventory as Sapnap approached him to craft Eyes of Ender. As they successfully crafted a few, Dream flicked one up. It slowly rises and leans toward one direction before ultimately plunging into the ground. The blonde catches it right before it lands and double checks if it snapped in two. "Well, we have our lead. Let's go." You all then fell into step with each other. The walk was quiet, save for the occasional clinking of the ender eyes that came from Dream. It was a bit too quiet for your liking. Check up on who? You know what? We've been really mean and ignorant to Sapnap, so we'll see how he's doing. He was nearer to you, being in the middle of the small line of follow the leader. You checked up on him as he finished up an apple. "Oh, Snappy. Yeah, I'm all good now. What about you? Are you okay?" You nodded your head, earning a smile from the brunette. He stretches his arms out wide, the popping of his joints quite audible. "That was quite terrifying, huh?" I mean, real life nether situation probably would be, pretty scary, so yeah. You wouldn't want to admit that it scared you, per se, but you had to agree that it was too close for comfort. Sapnap gives you a smile. "I'm glad you had our back, Snappy." You grinned back at him, feeling at ease that you could be of use to them. Everyone stopped walking when Dream halted in his tracks. "It's down here," he announces as he whipped out his pickaxe, beginning to mine through the ground. "You better not be digging straight down, my dude." George and Sapnap had gone to do the same thing on either side of him, so you decided to follow through and mimic their actions in front of the hole Dream made. You continued to dig deeper, not even paying attention until you realize you've dug through the stronghold's ceiling and fell through. "Snappy! I'm sorry, I'm bad at games!" You dealt a bit of damage to yourself thanks to your clumsiness. Dream had safely landed with a water MLG, and so did George. although he let his water spread around for a bit for Sapnap to land in safely. You're gonna give us a heart attack, Snappy. Be careful next time. I am never careful, okay? I'll throw myself off a cliff. Just no question asked at all. You let out a sheepish chuckle as you pulled out an apple from your inventory and proceeded to munch on it to regen. You all took a better look at which part of the stronghold you guys were located in. You all realized you were in the middle of it, with 3 pathways. The end portal, the library, and a way to another hallway. Sapnap lets out a huff. Huh. Lucky. You patted off the remaining dirt off of your clothes as Dream began going towards the portal room, getting rid of the silverfish spawner before starting on filling in the gaps of the portal itself. Sapnap scratches his head before heading off to the empty hallway that leads to an iron door. I'll go over here and check if there's any stuff I can grab before we enter. Same. I'll check over here. You were then left to your own devices yet again. They like just straight up ditching me, don't they? Go with whom? Well, since we're already on the George route, I would say, I guess we'll go towards the library. You took the left path, entering the iron door and following the older male. As you entered the room, you were greeted by tall rows of bookshelves filled to the brim. Hearing the clink of the iron door closing behind you, George called out from the corner of the room, "I'm right here!" You followed the sound of his voice, leading you to him as he closed a chest. He proceeded to sit on it. Just a compass and a few blank pages, nothing useful. He mutters out a little, "Oh yeah," and proceeded to bring out his crafting table, seemingly creating a bow along with some arrows. A moment of silence had seeped into your conversation before he called out to you. "Snappy? Don't smile at me!" You looked to him. He seemed a bit nervous and flustered. "I figured that maybe this will be the last time we'll be able to talk in a calmer manner, let's say. So, I just wanted to admit something. Snappy, I think you're really amazing. I hope I don't, overwhelm you or anything. I just wanted to let you know that." Okay. So we have, "I like you too. Thank you for the dono," and "You're okay. Thank you for the dono." Oh my god. Yeah, same. He throws his head back in laughter at your response. That's such a dumb joke. You both snickered at the reference you've made. George looks at you properly. "Yeah, I'm really glad we're friends, Snappy." You simply grinned at him. He mirrors your expression. He hops off the chest. "Let's head back?" I'm pretty sure Sapnap's calmed his nerves and Dream's finished up the portal by now. You nodded and followed his lead out of the chamber. As everyone started to regroup, the quiet humming of the finished end portal echoes out. Nervously, Sapnap speaks. Any encouraging words before we hop in?" Well, since Sapnap's the one who brought it up, we should probably talk to him. When you meet gazes, Sapnap dumbly points at himself. "Me?" You laughed at him as the other two had simply nodded. Sapnap laughs along for a bit as he cheekily scratches the back of his head. Well, we don't know how things will go in the end, but I sure hope that we'll all make it back. Actually, no, I'm sure we'll make it back. Everyone had given each other affirming glances, reassuring one another that they're ready before staring down towards the black vortex. You gripped on the axe and shield you were wielding, your nerves making you feel all jittery. Yes, George? On 3? Sapnap shakily breathes. 1, 2, and everyone began to run up. 3! You braced yourself as the discomfort of teleporting began to set in. You covered your mouth as you landed onto the obsidian platform, trying to get a hold of yourself. George shakes his head as he checks on everyone right after landing. Snappy, are you okay? You waved him off, coughing as you do so. It doesn't particularly convince him, but he trusts you enough to regain your balance yourself. Dream and Sapnap seem to have gotten used to the feeling of teleporting, as they appeared fine. You struggled to get back on your feet as they began to build their way towards the center of the island where the dragon was situated. You got yourself on your feet and caught up to them. Go ahead and push towards the dragon. I'll take care of the ender crystals. Make every shot count, George. Of course. He runs off to the sides as he already begun aiming at the top of the pillars. Dream turns to you. Me and Sapnap will go ahead land attacks on the ender dragon. You steer clear from her, alright? Kill some endermen and grab the pearls they drop so that you can filter them to us or use them for yourself if you have to flee. You obliged, staying in the outer ring of the island as the two childhood friends rushed towards the middle. You dared to make eye contact with the tall, void-like mobs to aggravate them. It proved effective, as they began to open their mouths, their irritating buzzing getting louder as they launched themselves at your shield. You shoved them away and attempted to land hits on them, whilst taking caution of any of their attacks that managed to get too near to you. After taking at least 2 hits from the mob, you counted the amount of ender pearls you've gained whilst eating some bread to regenerate your health. Seeing that you've gotten quite a lot, you quickly jumped into the middle to throw some to Dream and Sapnap. Thanks, Snappy! Sapnap manages to catch all of it, tossing the other half towards the blonde who had just landed his water MLG. After a few more minutes of combat, it seemed that the Ender Dragon's health had depleted until halfway. George had done his job of shooting all the healing crystals. You were busy looking around for the older male when the dragon had launched a fireball near you. You had only heard a soft thudding sound, and before you knew it, you were surrounded by purple particles that began to burn you. Snappy! Use an ender pearl! Get out of there! You fumble over the items in your inventory, finally stumbling over the sphere-like object and throwing it away to somewhere safer. Your breath was shaky and in short puffs as you teleported. You looked up to your health bar to see you had 2.5 hearts left. Snappy, are you okay? You wanted to reassure them that you're fine, even a wave of your hand, but the required effort to do as such was too much for you and ended up making you feel a lot more lightheaded. George, we need you! Being the nearest one to you, George glances back to you worriedly. You shook your head in an attempt to tell him to go help the others. George furrowed his eyebrows together before turning away and ran towards the middle. I'm right here! We need your help in keeping the dragon away from Snappy! Got it! Right. Dream was the sole person out of everyone in your group to have experienced being on half a heart, and you were close. To say it hurt was sugarcoating it. You felt excruciating pain as your heart tried to make up for the blood that you've lost from the recent situation. As you breathed heavily, you fiddled around for the golden apple that had stayed in your inventory the entire time. The last time you glanced at the dragon's health bar, it was nearly finished. Just a few critical hits and it would be over. You sighed as you took your time, finally being able to fish it out from all of your belongings. You were about to eat it when you heard a bellowing noise from above. The Ender Dragon was coming right at you. Snappy! You froze up and shut your eyes tight as you braced yourself for what was about to happen. Oh! A new player! Interesting! You must be Snappy. I'm XD. I'm in charge of everything in between here. It seems that you've unlocked an ending. That's really cool. Say, if you could unlock everyone's endings, maybe you can help me find a secret code. I've been seeing an opening here and there, but I'm having some trouble in achieving the code I need. Maybe it'll benefit you too. But then, it'll be up to you if you'd like to help me. It'd really be cool if you do. Until then, I'll see you next time. Is this what everyone sees right when they're about to die? Huh? What? But what happened? What was that? That wasn't it. Okay. Alright. Why am I invested in this? I guess we're just gonna keep going at it now because I am invested. Why am I invested? I don't know. But we're gonna keep going next time. This was an adventure.